Can you imagine checking into 25 White Sox games in 2024 and only be rewarded with an Andrew see, I was going through the cold open, had it perfectly, and being rewarded with an Andrew Benintendi bobblehead? That's not much of a reward. I can't talk. This is the CHGO White Sox postgame show. Welcome into the CHGO White Sox postgame show, presented to you by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary with our friends over at Bet365. Sign up using code CHGO365. I'm your host, Sean Anderson, alongside me, Joey Christopoulos, my producer.
That Benintendi bomb night got you speechless, bro. Got you thinking
It's got me tongue-tied.
Got you a little tongue-tied.
It's got me a little tongue-tied.
Benny will do that.
I mean, hey, that man, no one really, outside of my wife, gets those butterflies going in my stomach outside of Andrew Benintendi. Oh, boy. What a person.
Where were you when you saw Andrew Benintendi's $75 million contract across the room?
Oh,
You saw stars?
I think was it about 7 days before I had a list of acceptable outfielders that they could sign. And there was 4 out of the 5 were acceptable. And there was one that was unacceptable. And that name was Andrew Benintendi. Shy Sox Anthony 27 joining us in the chat saying, great win tonight. Just take it against the Twinkies. Hit that thumbs up button if you haven't already. Make sure you're subscribing to the CHGO Sports YouTube channel. Sox win 12-3. We'll be talking about that on today's show. But first, we want to let you know about our friends over at Big Brothers Big Sisters. This is a big week for us here at CHGO because we get to raise money for our great partners over at Big Brothers Big Sisters. Think about your favorite athlete. Picture Andrew Benintendi in your mind. Every single one of them, whether it's Andrew Benintendi or just Andrew Benintendi, they had a coach, a mentor, or a family member who believed in them first. Someone who saw their potential and gave them confidence to go for it. That's what Big Brothers Big Sisters does every single day. They create those life-changing connections for kids in our community. And for the entire month of September, we at CHG are partnering with Big Brothers Big Sisters of America to help fund their mission. Your donation ensures another child gets a mentor, a role model, or a champion in their corner. And you can't be that champion if you're just watching us on YouTube. You can donate directly. Oh, you can be that. Sorry, you can't be that champion. It sounded really poor. Like, oh, you can't do anything. You can do something, thankfully. If you're watching us on YouTube, you could donate directly by hitting the donate button right on your screen. It looks like handshakes. And if you're listening on the podcast, head to bbbs.org/ALLCITY, ALLCITY. Let's help ignite the potential of the next generation. And again, for our podcast listeners, you can check out bbbs.org/ALLCITY. And not only is that for donations, if you want to sign up to be a big and mentor a little, you can do that over at bbbs.org/ALLCITY. And it's an important time to get involved in your community. There was a reason to set up a meeting today at CHGO, and I said last Thursday, hey, we need to talk about it. And you know who was there for the meeting? Everybody but me. Thankfully, Jake, Saul, and Tony all set up this meeting that I asked for.
I didn't want to bring it up.
And you know who showed up an hour late because I thought it was at 10 and not 9? This guy, the guy who asked for the meeting. So way to go. You didn't text me.
I know. I'm your final warning.
Woof. All right. Sox win 12-3. That's what you came for. Not my inability to, follow a schedule. We have a 12-3 White Sox winner to talk about tonight. We have a 6-5 White Sox winner to talk about from Monday. We also will talk about some messy stuff with the White Sox and September call-ups. Brian Ramos is here. And we think Fraser Ellard's here for a bit, but we'll see. There might be somebody lurking in the shadows in Charlotte that might come up at any point. We'll also talk about Colson Montgomery, because how could we not? He had a homer on Monday. We're going to drool all over Colson Montgomery. By probably the second break, I will be drooling all over my microphone and keyboard about Colson Montgomery. let's talk about today. What's important? Sox win 12-3. Their first run came in the second inning as Andrew Benintendi hit his first homer of the night. That one was a solo shot. Sox were down going into the fifth, 3-1, but then the Sox were able to add in the fifth. Brian Ramos hit a double, his first hit of the night and his only hit of the night. I believe that's his first hit with the Sox this year as well. Ramos doubled, scoring Baldwin and Robertson. That tied it up in the fifth. And then in the sixth, Benny singled to left, scoring Colson. Then in the sixth as well, Baldwin singled to left, scoring Mead. That made it 5-3. And then in the seventh, Kyle Teel homered to make it 6-3. And Lenyn Sosa, who batted right after Kyle Teel, said, sounds pretty good. Homer sound, Joey, you want a homer? I want a homer. Lenyn Sosa added another one. Back-to-back homers. Teel and Sosa make it 7-3. The Sox weren't done in the seven. Robertson scored a single to right, scoring Benintendi and Mead, making it 9-3. And then in the eighth, Andrew Benintendi adds his second homer of the night. It makes it 12-3. That's a White Sox winner. Benintendi is your player of the game easily. He goes 4 for 5 on the night, 2 homers, and I think 5 runs batted in. So congratulations to Benintendi for the good night. 17 home runs for Andrew Benintendi on the year. I can go into the petty stuff. I can go into the things that I was tweeting during the game about Andrew Benintendi. But this is a good game. This is a good feeling. All right. I think Chuck had the stat that we've been talking about throughout this year. Sox last year had 2 games where they scored over 10 runs. This was their 11th game scoring over 10 runs this year. I don't need to talk about the 228 negative win probability added games offensively for Andrew Benintendi being like top 40 in Major League Baseball since 2023. I don't need to talk about it. All right. It's not important. He hit 2 homers tonight, and the Sox were able to add their 51st win of the year, which is important because, Joey, pop quiz. I don't think you're ready for it. How many wins did the White Sox have last year?
Oh, you made me have to make me think about it. They had 41?
Yeah. They're 51 now.
Yeah.
So as a resident math guy, 51 minus 41 equals.
Boy. Oh, geez. Oh, man. I'm going to go with 10-game improvement, Sean, on September 2nd.
And there's still 22 games left. And the great thing is there's still a top of the draft odd percentages of getting the best pick or at least best pool in the 2026 MLB draft. This is kind of shaping up to the best way that 2025 could shape out. The White Sox are in the driver's seat for the 2026 draft. They are showing improvement late in the season from their young bats, and you are seeing an actual approach from the White Sox play out in the field. They said, we're going to attack fastballs. And you know what they've done beautifully since the All-Star break? Attack the fastball. This has been kind of a surreal moment, Twilight Zone feeling. Rick Hahn, when the team was supposed to be good, saying, team go far, ball go far. He had an idea of a plan. He had the end goal. Just had no idea how to get there. Seems like Chris Getz, Kyle Teel, Will Venable, Walker McKinven have an idea. They said, hey, we want to hit the ball far. Well, how do we do that? And that was the most that Rick Hahn ever, got. They didn't even figure out the how do we do that part. Chris Getz asked, how do we do that? They made a plan. They put that plan in place, and now that they have the talent to put that plan in place, boom, steak dinner.
A lot of people took a lot of, they looked into a lot of what Chris Getz said when he said, I don't like my team. What was that, 2 spring trainings ago? But now it's like But he was also saying I don't like this infrastructure.
I think that was
like
September
our teaching
of
model.
2023. So that was one of his first-ish press conferences. So that was even before his first offseason.
Yeah, and the cool part about it. Yeah, and the cool part about it is that we don't know if this is come to fruition yet. I mean, this isn't a playoff-ready team or even above 500 team right now. But we do know at the very least is that Chris Getz, after he said that, it looks like he's at least trying to do something about it. And it isn't necessarily through bringing in people from outside the organization. It's all growing from within. And I gave him a hard time, too, that last year he was like, well, look, we're not going to do anything in free agency. We need to see better improvement from within our organization. And he's kind of delivered on that. I mean, credit where credit's due. I'm not trying to give him the General Manager of the Year award, but when he says this type of stuff that makes Sox fans either scared or angry, at least it's coming from a place that now at least a White Sox fan can say, maybe he does have something in mind further down the road. Whether it works out or not is irrespective of what I'm trying to say. The fact that he's at least showing that he has a vision right now is at least something that I'm willing to applaud.
I think Herb, Vinny, and I said that when he took over was, yes, it is an internal move. Yes, Jerry Reinsdorf walked into Hahn's office, fired Hahn and Williams, walked down the same hallway and said, Chris, you're promoted, right? Like there wasn't an in-depth internal or external search
stinky.
for a GM.
Yeah, we were smelling it and being like,
it stunk.
This doesn't smell right.
But what we have seen play out is Chris be a young, determined player. And although he didn't have the ideas or at least maybe resources to succeed as a farm director, it does seem like he has at least put his farm director and everyone else below him in a position to succeed. And I think that's something that Hahn and Williams just never did. It was more, well, we have our 26 guys out on the field, and that's who's going to get us to October. And it wasn't even about AAA, AA, and single A. It was like, yeah, those guys are there, but we have to worry about the Chicago White Sox, forgetting that the Chicago White Sox are more than the 26 that play at 35th and Shields. It's been a great, great turnaround for the Sox. Here's the real kind of telltale sign. Their second half record, 19-23. 4 games under 500. The best part with this, 9-run differential victory today, 12 minus 3 is 9. They now have a plus 16 run differential, 222 runs scored to 206 runs allowed. I don't think they've had a positive run differential in a half of a season since 2023, like the first half of 2023, maybe the second half of 2022. This has been a phenomenal turnaround, something that's been very, very surprising, and I understand they're still approaching on 100 losses, but if you are watching the games, every single one of these games, you see a gradual improvement from March to April, April to June. I missed May, I think, from May to June, June to July, and then July to August. But then when you just look from April to August, there's a massive leap. It was very gradual, but slowly, we went from walking to running to jumping hurdles.
Maybe this is something that you should answer on the other side of the break. It's up to you, but if you had to pick, would you say that hiring Ryan Fuller was simply a great hire by Chris Getz and that he got it right and those principles are now permeating throughout the organization? Or would you also say that maybe hiring Ryan Fuller is closer to synergizing what Chris Getz wants from the organization? And it's all part of maybe a chain that is starting to get kind of linked up that goes all the way down from their minor league system all the way back up to their manager. You know, sometimes you just get right. Sometimes you just hire, like he hired Ryan Fuller, and the practices and principles that he's putting in place with some of these players seem to be working. So someone might just say, well, Chris Getz just made a great hire. Or are you maybe more of the mindset of Ryan Fuller is more of a reflection of maybe what Chris Getz wants, and maybe, just maybe, we're getting closer to synergy behind the scenes with the White Sox. Maybe not seeing results,
I think
but more synergy.
Fine. I mean, there's no way that synergy is always just a buzzword, too. What does synergy mean? I think the second half, especially the fastball data that we'll get into after the first break, kind of shows the synergy of like, hey, we have a plan. How do we get all of these players to buy into the plan and then actually execute the plan? If they have this plan for Colson Montgomery to hit fastballs and he's still using a normal bat and not the modified torpedo bat, is he hitting these homers, right? Like, I think that kind of shows the synergy of it's not just about let's put a plan in place. Well, this guy's not having the plan actually or being able to execute the plan. What can we do to change it? Right. And we've been able to see that at the minor league level. Ryan Fuller's been up and down, whether it's at A, Advanced A, AA, AAA, White Sox. He's been all around, and they've been able to implement a plan. Hit that thumbs up button if you haven't already. We got 15 people watching, 4 thumbs up. We're about an hour after the game ended. So the fact that even Shy Sox Anthony's hanging out with us, we are appreciative of that. Hit that thumbs up button if you haven't already. We're going to be talking about who will lead the White Sox in homers by the end of this month, and we'll talk more about Colson Montgomery's fantastic start to his career here on the CHGO White Sox postgame show. We want to let you know about our friends over at Bet365, our presenting sponsors. We love Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary with their friends over at Bet365. New customers now get $200 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. And it's a perfect time to sign up for Bet365 as NFL has kicked off or will be kicking off on Thursday. You have college football as well that kicked off last week. Technically, there was a week 0. Bet365 is the place to bet football with Bet365's early payout offer. You're a winner if your football team goes up by 17 points, whether NFL or college football, in an instant payout on straight bets and parlay selections. Check out the wide world of betting over at Bet365. Playoff season is here. New customers now get $200 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. Sign up using the code CHGO365. Deposit $10. Place a bet for $5 to get $200 in bonus bets, whether you win or lose. Must be 21 plus, or if you or somebody you know has a gambling problem, crisis counseling or referral services can be accessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER in-app only. We also want to let you know about our friends over at RC. Technically, it's a cola, all right? But this is a Midwestern read, so I think I can call it a pop, right? Even though it's RC Cola, it's not RC Pop. I guess R Pop.
Oh, it's more than a pop. It's more than a cola.
I guess it's actually RC Pop then, because it's Royal Crown Cola. It's not Royal Cola. That would be a bad company name. Anyways, we want to let you know about our friends over at RC. RC is the Chicago Pop. If you are going into a pizza joint in Chicago, a real pizza joint, like a Milano's, like a Salerno's, what are you going to see in the fridge? You're going to see this beautiful, beautiful light blue can that you know and love. RC is an OG cola in a world of spineless soft drinks. It's an original cola that doesn't fold under pressure. No trends, no gimmicks, no glow-ups. RC hasn't changed since 1905 because it hasn't have to. Do yourself a favor and pick up some RC at your local store today. RC is the move for whatever you're doing. Look at that. Boom. RC Cola. Love it. Welcome back to the CHGO White Sox postgame show presented to you by Bet365. Use code CHGO365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary with our friends over at Bet365. We have to take the temperature with our friends over at Four Seasons 866. Four Seasons. Today. If you have a plumbing, electrical, heating, or cooling emergency, your trusted local experts are Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. Check out FourSeasonsHeatingCooling.com for all their special offers and money-saving coupons. That's FourSeasonsHeatingCooling.com. Joey, it's time to take the temperature. Woo-hoo! We need to see or determine over the next 22 games who will lead the Chicago White Sox in home runs. We have to check out the home run leaderboard. Lenyn Sosa with a homer today extends his lead to 19. Benintendi with his 2 homers is now at second with 17. The rookie, who has played 48 games, Colson Montgomery, has 16 homers. Luis Robert Jr., who's likely done for the year, at 14. Miguel Vargas, it's unlikely if he'll be done for the year, but I would expect him to be done for the year. He's at 14, and then Brooks Baldwin at 9. So it really does seem to be a 3-headed race here between Andrew Benintendi, Colson Montgomery, and the leader, Lenyn Sosa. Can Lenyn hold out?
Benintendi nipping on his heels.
Is he, though?
Colson.
Because Andrew Benintendi's been very, very cold.
Right, but out of all of those players, I would say Colson and Benintendi have the best shot at hitting multi-home runs in a game. Because that seems to be... Benny's got a bit of that MO. When he's having a good night, he can have himself a really huge night.
This is his second 2-homer game tonight.
My question would be, what do we think the number actually lands at by the end of the season? I want to root for Colson super bad, but I have a feeling if the number lands somewhere in the 21-22 range, and that ends up being the team leader for the White Sox in home runs this year, I feel like that would not be Colson. That means it probably would be like Lenyn Sosa or Andrew Benintendi.
You're just wondering, like, how many homers truly over the next 22 games will that leader hit? Colson has not had a multi-homer game, which is somewhat surprising. Lenyn's had 2. This is Benintendi's second. I think it will be Lenyn. I think for some reason, especially just with the way that these games play out, I think Lenyn's an easy guy to look over. I mean, even at the time that he hit the homer, he was looking pretty bad at the plate. And you're wondering, like, why is this the third hitter? And then, hey, there comes Lenyn Sosa in the 7th inning to shut me up again, hitting another home run. I think it will be Lenyn. I think he finishes under 25. I think he'll be at 23. I think we get 4 more from Lenyn. I think Colson cracks 20.
I do, too.
I think it's 20. on the dot.
That's why I said 21-22. That's when I'm starting to be like, oh, I mean, if he hits 6 home runs in his final 22 games, coupled with what he's already done in the 50 game span that he's been up, how many games has he been up?
48.
48.
Well, I guess. Let's make sure.
So you're
today is his 48th game.
Yeah, 48th game. So if you're telling me that he gets to 22, 23 home runs in 70 games, if he gets to 20 in 70 games, holy cow.
Holy cow.
Holy cow.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, we're at 48, 22. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is less about Colson. This is more about like how much time is actually left. And Lenyn has had
how much will he actually play? I think Lenyn's more likely to play. Benny's run into some injury issues, but Colson, he's been dealing with this day-to-day stuff. If that even flares up at all, do they just say, all right, well, we've seen enough. You're on the team for next year. We'll see you in 2026, Colson Montgomery. I think Lenyn's just going to win the war of attrition here.
I agree. That's a great point. Probably just the attrition of more at-bats, more opportunities for Lenyn Sosa.
Be batting higher in the lineup,
and he already has the lead. He's already the leader in the clubhouse by 2. 3 over by Colson. This is less to do about Colson and more has to do with just the facts and nature of time. And I really want to make a wager with you about this. But I don't. But do you want to take Lenyn Sosa? Do I want to take Andrew Benintendi?
I think
that's not a fun bet.
Yeah. And also, like, what are we gonna bet? Like, will Colson Montgomery hit 21.5 homers over under?
No shot for Miguel Vargas,
I don't
preseason pick.
Well, so what is the latest on Miguel? Because I think.
Well, what's he sitting at? Like 12?
He's at 14. Him and Robert are at 14. I think Vargas was put on the IL because of
the wrist,
and then they call up Elko. I think it's just on the 10-day, so I don't know if it's gonna. I think he's done. To be honest,
why bring him back if the wrist is bothering him and if it has anything to do with his swing? What is the point of bringing him back?
I think it'll be Lenyn, but there's a name we've been talking about, and regardless if he leads the team in home runs or not, we have to talk about Colson Montgomery. This 12-3 victory is sweet. Don't get me wrong. I'm very, very excited about the 12-3 victory. But the more important thing is the White Sox have won 2 straight games against Minnesota, and now they have a 6-5 record against Minnesota. If they're just able to hold this off and not lose the next 2 games against Minnesota, they will at least tie the season record against an AL Central team this year. They did win the season series against the Guardians somehow last year, or I think it was 5-6. But if they were able to win against Minnesota, a complete series, that would be huge. I'm very, very much rooting for somehow, some way, whether Yendrys Gomez or Shane Smith is able to lock up a win against the Minnesota Twins. Thursday, too, you have Shane Smith versus Taj Bradley. Did you hear this from Taj Bradley? Taj Bradley, Minnesota Twins pitcher, former Rays pitcher. Colson Montgomery has 2 career homers against him. Taj Bradley said after his last start, started reading the scouting reports. There was useful things in there.
For the first time?
First time. Never thought, hey, should look at what I'm about to do. You know, I get it. You know, sometimes I just do zero prep for the show and just wing it. And usually those shows go terribly.
The files are inside the computer?
Rated, buddy. Yikes. So, yeah, hopefully the Sox are able to get another win against Minnesota. Sox have won 3 straight. They won on Sunday against New York 3-2. They won on Monday 6-5. They won tonight 12-3. Davis Martin was fine tonight. Nothing really stuck out. Tonight was just really about the homers from Teel, Sosa, and Benintendi. Yesterday, the game was about the White Sox being annoying. The White Sox had a lead in the 5th inning and then allowed the Minnesota Twins to come back in the game. Lewis hit a homer in the 6th to make it 4-3 Sox. Then Buxton hit a sac fly, making it 4-4 in the 6th. And then in the 7th, Brooks Lee singled, making it a 5-4 Twins league. But thankfully, in the 8th, Brooks Baldwin hit a double that scored Brian Ramos, and then Tauchman hit a double that scored Baldwin, giving them the 6-5 victory. But it was all started in the 2nd inning by 2 home runs, one from Colson Montgomery, another from Chase Mydroth, both going 395 feet. They took the lead in the 2nd inning with a 3-0 lead after those 2 homers. And what I want to talk about mainly is Colson Montgomery in these first 48 games. Through his first 46, he was at 2 WAR. And I was thrilled to find that out before Monday's game. And I had the day off. It was Labor Day. I didn't know that they were playing at 110. And I found out that he was at 2 WAR, I think at like 12:55. And then when I go and post it on Twitter, literally the first thing I see is the Colson highlight. And I'm like, oh, guess the Sox are playing. And thankfully, I opened up Twitter at the exact time. But it's crazy that you're like, oh, this kid, who I think was I think we had the stat on Sunday, the 31st White Sox rookie to reach 2 WAR in a season. He's only the 3rd to do it in 100 games or less. I think 4th. It was Jim Morrison, Frank Thomas, Tim Anderson, and I think Colson. But he hits another homer on Monday. And now he's up to 2.3 WAR. This kid in the first 48 games is the most valuable White Sox hitter. If you go to Baseball Reference and right now look at the top 12 players, Adrian Hauser, 2.9 WAR. Mike Vassell, 2.4 WAR. Colson Montgomery is 3rd at 2.3 WAR. Caro's at 4 at 1.7. Vargas, 1.6. Tauchman's really fallen off. He went from like 2 WAR to 1.6. But they got a lot of guys at 1.6. But Colson, head and shoulders above the class because of his ability to play shortstop. In a well shortstop, he's been a very good defensive shortstop. But the ability to just pound the baseball. I want to go to this on Fangraphs to kind of explain Colson's success so far. This is Fangraphs leaderboard sorted by isolated power, minimum 150 plate appearances. Isolated power, for maybe those old heads that don't know what it means, isolated power is slugging percentage minus batting average. And you might be frustrated with Colson Montgomery's batting average, but hopefully I can explain why it's not that much of a worry right now. If you look, though, he is 3rd. Colson Montgomery is 3rd all-time in isolated power plus, which takes that ISO number, slugging minus batting average, and then tries to get it into a averaged number, 100 being the average, and then anything above like 10 is a standard deviation. So Colson Montgomery is nearly 10 standard deviations above the average. He's at 199 isolated power plus. He is nearly 100% better at the average major league hitter at hitting the ball for power. And obviously it's inflated stats because he's only played around 150. It's 184 plate appearances. But that 199 isolated power is tied for Nick Kurtz, who is likely going to win the AL Rookie of the Year. And only above him, Barry Bonds, Mike McGuire.
And look get at that, Ryan Schimpf out of here.
Well, you look at that
Colson's
top 10.
Way better.
You got Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani, Ryan Schimpf, Sam Horn, Albert Bell, and Juan Gonzalez. Just some of the greatest power hitters of all time, and Ryan Schimpf and Sam Horn. But what I bring this up for is those other averaged plus stats. And you could see that his average plus is 94. It's not that much below 100 average batting average for this day and age. You may look at that 229 at batting average and say that it's very low, but that will not kill his career. If he's able to bring pop and, 10 of his 18 hits in a month are homers, he'll be a valuable player, mainly because of the defensive position that he plays. And you also look, too, the walk percentage is concerning, 79%, when you average it to the major league run environment. The only other people that are around like 80 when you go to walk percentage plus are on this list are Juan Gonzalez and then Hector Villanueva, who I have no idea is, and then like Kevin Roberson. So Juan Gonzalez, very good. Everyone else, not so good.
Hector Villanueva, catcher in the 80s for the Chicago Cubs.
Let's go.
Backup catcher.
So, not anything super inspiring there, and that's something that he definitely needs to work on. His strikeout rate isn't that crazy high. I mean, he's striking out less. He's striking out basically around the amount that Aaron Judge has struck out for his career. So, like, the strikeout rate isn't too concerning. It's mainly just him needing to walk more. But also, you look at the BABIP plus, and that's at 77. And for a guy that hits the ball so hard, that should regulate a little bit. If you are trying to criticize Colson Montgomery or look at something that he needs to do better, it's hit line drives more. His line drive percent plus is at 69. Nice. Not really. His ground ball percentage plus is at 90. His fly ball percentage plus is at 126. So he's hitting fly balls 25% better than a major league hitter, which is leading to these homers. But we want to see less ground balls, still under 100%, that 90 number, but less ground balls and more in that line drive area. And then that's where we'll see that BABIP inflate a little bit more, and we'll see that batting average line out a little bit. But even then, Ryan Schimpf was like a first baseman kind of, or more of even just a DH type. If Colson wants to be Ryan Schimpf but play above average defense at shortstop, he could still be a very viable player. So if you do have some worries about jumping on the Colson train or not, I feel like you should buy a ticket before they sell out. This seems like a kid that has a lot of the tools. He's not a 5-tool player, but the tools that he does have are eye-popping. And I think that he will be an eye-popping player for the Sox for years to come. Knock on wood. We have to take a break here on the CHGO White Sox postgame show, presented to you by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary with our friends over at Bet365. Use code CHGO365 when you sign up. We have to take a break here on the CHGO Colson Montgomery White Sox postgame show, but we will talk more about the White Sox after this break. We want to let you know about our friends over at EyeOnTheBall.net, and these people are truly our friends. Not only are they new sponsors here at CHGO, not only have they sponsored or been a part of sponsoring our golf outings, being hole-specific sponsors, they have been with us since the get. The founders of this website, Dave and Chris, have been huge fans of CHGO for a long time, have been diehards since the beginning, and since they've supported us, we also want to support them. Go check them out at EyeOnTheBall.net. Whether you're an athlete or coach, this is the place for you. At least if you're a coach, Eye on the Ball is where you need to be. Create a profile, upload your background check, and boom, you're in. Just for $50 a month or $500 for the whole year, athletes of all ages and all sports can find you directly. And here's the best part. Eye on the Ball doesn't mess with your schedule, payments, or your business. You're in full control. All Eye on the Ball does is connect you with athletes who are looking for a coach like you. So check on EyeOnTheBall.net if you're ready to grow your coaching business and reach more athletes. That's EyeOnTheBall.net. Don't wait. The athletes are already there looking for you. We also want to let you know about our friends over at MonarchMoney.com. If you are looking for a personal CFO, Monarch Money is the place to check out. Finances can be messy and confusing. Monarch Money acts like your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control so you could stop earning and start growing. It's more than your average budgeting app. Monarch Money is a complete financial command center for your accounts, investments, and goals. So don't just manage your money. Start building wealth with 50% off your first year for our listeners. This is Wall Street Journal's best budgeting app of 2025. They're the top recommended personal finance app by users and experts with over 30,000 five-star reviews. And the most important thing, it will help you out at home. Financial stress is one of the top reasons relationships fall apart. Monarch Money makes conversations easier, money conversations easier. So get control over your overall finances with Monarch Money. Use code CHGO at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year, 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code CHGO. Welcome back to the CHGO White Sox postgame show. If you have any thoughts, let us know in the comments below. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button as well. This is the CHGO White Sox game presented to you by Bet365. We do have Dovman hanging out with us. He says, Baldwin going forward, I like over Chase Meindroth. Once prospects get called up, Baldwin's ability to play outfield is key. Brooks hasn't played the best outfield, so I do hear you. And if it ever came down to Chase or Brooks, I think Brooks' ability to hit from both sides and the ability to play not just the middle infield and even the corner, he's played third a decent amount, but also the outfield would help him. But I don't think those two are ever going to be going at it with another. I think that if Brooks Baldwin is going to be replaced by somebody, it's likely more like a Sam Antonacci type. If Meindroth is replaced, I think it's more by like a Gerald Perez or an Alexander Albertus type. I don't know if those two are necessarily going at it for one another because of Baldwin's ability to play the outfield. I don't think that they look at him and Chase as the same mold because I think they look at Baldwin as a guy to put everywhere, where Chase, that's their middle infield, either, backup or starting second baseman, where I don't even think they view Baldwin as like a starter. I would be really surprised if Brooks Baldwin ever got like extended run in 2026 or 2027 as a starter. I think he's destined for a bench piece, but and in no way against him. I think he's just so valuable and can make decent contact that he'll stick around for a while, but we'll have to see. And then Chi Sox Anthony also throwing out, it's been fun watching this group come together and grow, take the rookie bumps, learn and improve. Their group has that moxie. Joey, can you flash the Venable graphic? I think it says Venable Cheese and show current scene. You want to flash that right there? This is how I think most of us are feeling right now. The White Sox have a win. Cheese it up. Let's go, Will Venable. Flash those pearly whites. All 32 of them. White Sox winner. All right. No, it's been fun to watch. And I think the one thing that's, sad and makes me feel bad for Luis Robert Jr. is like he started bonding with these guys. Like I never saw him have a handshake with anyone before, and he's got a handshake with Colson Montgomery. He's got Colson Montgomery calling him La Pantera, and he's calling Colson Monty Monster back. I think that they are really enjoying each other, and just the entire team is enjoying one another, and it's paid off in spades. It's been exciting to watch. Again, there isn't that many what's it called? I've kind of lost my train of thought. There isn't that much pressure yet, so I wonder how the pressure will make this team crack, and maybe we'll see more cracks as the pressure gets ramped up, just like the 2021 team per se. But that's a wait and see, and that's kind of a good problem to have. Is can they handle the pressure? Like, all right, well, we're at least not losing 100 games, so woohoo. Let's read from a friend. We have a lot of friends on this show. We've been blessed and lucky to be joined by a lot of smart people in the baseball world. Thankfully, Ted Schwartz hasn't been one of them. Minnesota Twins fan Ted said back on March 25th, 2025, I wonder if the Chicago White Sox fans are still comforted by their 2005 World Series trophy or how it feels to be irrelevant before opening day even starts. It was funny when they chirped the Twins for a few months of their relevancy. Right now, the White Sox do have the season lead over the Minnesota Twins. So, Ted, you can also add the 12 runs to the previous 49 that they've scored against your team. You can add the 3 runs you scored tonight to your previous 41. So, Joey, what's 49 plus 12?
61.
61, and then what's 61 minus 44?
17.
So a guy that thought this team was irrelevant now has a negative 17 run differential against the irrelevant White Sox.
Yeah,
and Ted, I'm so glad you think that I can be comforted by my 2005 World Series trophy, right? We have the lovely parade scene right here. The best part about 2005 was I was alive.
Yeah, how's that Minnesota Twins World Series in the 21st century working out for you?
Here's the thing about 1991 and even 1987. I wasn't alive. Oh, you're going to go get comfort by your 1991 Minnesota Twins World Series DVD? No. Break out the Betamax. Break out the Laserdisc. There isn't even a functioning technological system to play your memories besides your faded old man dreams. So, Ted, you suck, thankfully. Joe, you had a question about the Twins?
Well, I was just pondering as we were watching the game tonight, and you just looked out and you just saw, a score of fans. And when I say score, I mean like 3 or 4 fans.
Well, and you know what those 3 or 4 fans did in the 7th inning when the White Sox started raining down runs? They started booing. They even gave one of those, hey, there you go, claps after the Twins finally recorded an out.
I've been in the ballpark. It's a nice ballpark. It's a pretty place to watch a game. But it got me thinking a little bit because, yeah, man, as a Sox fan, I hate the Minnesota Twins. In many ways, and Hawk Harrelson would agree that they've always been a thorn in our side, and clearly the White Sox have been down and beaten the last 2 years. But I have to ask you the question: if we went through a checklist of ownership, front office, manager in the dugout, product on the field, and I'm not expecting you to know everything about their farm system, but if you start going through it versus the White Sox, who's checking more boxes right now about the better shape that they're in, maybe not just today, but in the next 3 to 5 years?
To 10 years, to 20 years. Let's just start there.
Yeah.
At the top, ownership. These two teams are now forever linked because of Justin Ishbia's pursuit of the Minnesota Twins, his public pursuit of the Minnesota Twins, and his public abandonment of being the Minnesota Twins owner, only to become the future owner in waiting for the Chicago White Sox. So if you asked Justin Ishbia this question, I think he picks the White Sox on ownership because of the state that the Minnesota Twins are. They do have their own stadium, but they're also around $400 million in debt. Part of this is because they started their own RSN and have had to kind of build that up from the ground up. MLB is supporting them a little bit, but they were a part of the Bally's fallout with RSNs. and I think NBC Sports, whatever that ended up being. So they're in a little bit of trouble there. But, I mean, easily, Joey, ownership, check in the White Sox bin. Because it's going to change soon. You're going to have a new guy that's going to be paying off all your debts. You won't have the debts. White Sox, easy. Front office, I think I'll give it to the Twins. Because although it hasn't planned out for them, they have been somewhat competitive. And they've, been competitive since about 2017. Took them about 7 years to fall off. I think they did a good job of building that team and then keeping that team sustainable, even messing around and being able to get Correa was interesting. I'm surprised that they ever even made a play on a player like Carlos Correa. So I think the front office, Chris Getz needs to prove himself a little bit more.
Well, and to be very fair, too, they just executed a fire sale, so we're not really sure the pieces coming back, whether that works. But they're in the same similar boat that the Sox are in, of if you're going to get rid of everybody, if you're going to tear it down, if you're going to start over. They couldn't get rid of Joe Ryan the same way that the White Sox weren't unable to deal Luis Robert because they still value that player at a certain level that they have to get something back for them. So yeah, they're in certain areas that are similar right now. So maybe front office wise, we'll say TBD with Minnesota, as maybe also the White Sox are TBD too as well in terms of return on some of the guys that they've gotten rid of the last 2 years.
And part of their front office is they have really built out their prospect system. They have a really good development system. One thing that I love that they do is they have a ton of clips posted by their own internal people of their development all the way down to the Arizona Fall League or Arizona leagues, right? Like they have cameras on every single park where a Minnesota Twin is playing baseball. So they do really a great job of propping up their farm system. And I think with all of the trades that they have done with Duran, et cetera, they have reloaded fairly well. Walker Jenkins is likely the best prospect out of any team. White Sox or Twins. Eduardo Tate was very highly thought of. Luke Keishel's currently on the MLB team, and he's been pretty good. Emmanuel Rodriguez is highly thought of. Mick Abel, their sixth prospect, that came over in the Duran deal. So I'd probably lean Twins just because they reloaded their prospects. But an on the field product, I mean, Buxton's good, but Buxton's older than Luis Robert Jr.
I was going to say Buxton versus Luis Robert Jr. Who would you rather have?
Buxton because he's been better.
Okay, I mean, that's surprising.
Buxton's been more hurt, but Buxton has had near MVP seasons.
So at their peak and at their optimal health, you would take Buxton on a healthy day over Luis Robert Jr.?
On actual careers, yes. On future, I take Robert. Because again, I mean, Buxton's only getting older, so I take Robert at least for the future. But even then, there isn't much on that team right now, at least Twins-wise, that I'm really scared of. Keishel's interesting, but I don't think Keichel is going to be a White Sox killer. So I think that the Sox are just in really good shape right now. So I would give most of those checks to the White Sox. Manager, too. It's about a horse apiece, both former major leaguers. I think Rocco maybe be wearing thin in Minnesota, so maybe that'd be the one downside, but also he's done a good job to at least get them to the point where they are. The Woots saying 60 wins this season would be great. Need more divisional wins. It's been such a struggle. And I agree with you. That's the one kind of sour taste in my mind, but the fact that they can possibly win the series against Minnesota gives me a little bit of hope. I do want to see more wins against the Royals and Guardians specifically because I think that those teams have owned us a lot over the past 10 years. The Tigers really haven't owned us. That could have been part of talent. But I think that the Tigers are more of an equal with the Sox just because they've started to flip and rebuild when the Sox were flipping and rebuild. They hire Hinch the same year the Sox wanted to hire Hinch. So we'll see. 60 wins is possible, though. I mean, 9 more wins in 22 games. It's not possible. That'd be a huge win for the White Sox and for Will Venable. Let's get to one final thing before we wrap up here. If you have any thoughts, let us know in the comments. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button. I want to give some grace to Sox Machine. Jim Margulis and James Fegan on Sunday reported that Mike Clevenger would be a part of the September call-ups. He was scratched from his start in AAA in Charlotte, and Jim Margulis was in Nashville at the time, and I believe him that he sourced that Clevenger would be a call-up. Clevenger hasn't been called up yet. The original September call-up was Frazier Ellard when the rosters expand from 26 to 28. The Sox were able to add a pitcher and add a hitter. They add Ramos as their hitter. They ended up adding Ellard, but the rumor or report was that Clevenger was supposed to be that arm instead of Ellard. I think it will likely play out that the next time they need an arm, because they have been sending guys up and down at a pretty insane level, the next arm that I think comes up is Clevenger. So just prepare yourself that even though we're approaching on 60 wins, there's still going to be some rotten stench at the back of your palate just bugging you, being like, what is that? That's the stench of SP5. It's a rotting carcass in the back of your throat. So not to end on a sour note, but I feel bad for the Sox machine guys because I think that they had a decent source, and I think the source isn't wrong that Clevenger will be up with them. It just didn't work out that exact way. If you, for some reason, lost trust in Sox machine, blow it up your arse. How about that?
Is it possible also we see this all the time where maybe they were getting a piece of information that the White Sox wanted a beta test, and then
I think
they put it out there, and
that's
then
pretty shit. Did I say it?
No, you didn't.
That's pretty crappy of the White Sox then to screw over an independent journalist who was doing their proper work and research. So if that is the case, they could shove it.
I'm grasping at straws because I do not understand why this Friday the 13th interest in bringing Mike Clevenger back onto this team continues to come back to life over and over again. And the only thing that maybe I could surmise is that maybe the White Sox, for whatever reason, wanted to put it out there to see, do White Sox fans still care? And I promise you, a large score of them still do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That this dude is on this team, and maybe they wanted to just float it out there to see what the reaction would be, and then they could hold off on it. Of course, there's probably 1,000 other things that I'm not thinking about, and maybe has to do with health or whether he's ready or how they want to manipulate the roster in terms of who pitched today and who's going to pitch tomorrow. But I just can't imagine. This is like, I'm exaggerating, but this is like the 10th time, man.
Oh, yeah. I know it is.
He won't just go pitch somewhere else. I'm not saying no go away, but just pitch somewhere else, man.
Someone said, and the only reason I'm believing this is because they put Wintrust Scout Section's season ticket holder in their bio, and they've gone to 72 to 75 games a year. And what stuck out to me in the response was just kind of the wait, hold on. Yeah, so Clevenger has 8.008 years of service time. 2 days are at odds with him and the MLB union. If he spends 4 days on the Sox roster, his 8 years gets him full benefits. So what the Sox could possibly be doing is getting him benefits. This person also said, I know Mike and was promised one more appearance by the Sox for helping out in AAA. He has been a solid influence on our young staff. Like him or not, Clevenger is a smart player whose preparation alone is a strong influence on young pitchers. So if a person's sitting in the scout seats and they're saying that, I think someone at least in the know is probably telling them that. And that's just disheartening that, the Sox are trying to do a favor to a guy that really shouldn't have favors.
Well,
that's a different
if
story.
it's a handshake thing, then they already made that deal, and you got to live with it. But hopefully that just means that he's up with the team for those 5, 6, 7 days, and we can just move on. And his pension can be vested, and whatever agreement that they verbally had with him would be fulfilled. And then as a White Sox fan, we could all just move on with our lives.
Hopefully Colson Montgomery hits a home run so I don't have to talk about it. We have to take a break here on the CHGO White Sox postgame show. And not just a break. We have to end the show until Thursday. We're going to be back on Thursday with a postgame show, then to recap the entire Twins series. If you have any thoughts, let us know, whether at CHGO_White Sox or at Sean_W_Anderson. Hit that thumbs up button. Thank you to Joey Christopoulos, who's been here for a very long time. I'm Sean Anderson. This has been the CHGO White Sox postgame show. We'll see you on Thursday. Good. Bye.
We all silly like the mayor.